What's going on? What's going on? Welcome back, ladies, men of prestige. Welcome to Prestige Family. What's going on? Welcome back. All right, let me just make sure that we set the right mood here because we have a very important topic to talk about today. We're talking about Kiriwa today, okay? I know the topic may not be as provocative as it's supposed to be, but again, I wanted to do this for some special people that will find their way to this video. I knew that most people won't find their way to this video, but I also didn't want to dilute it, okay, with provocative titles and things like that. But anyway, let me make sure the audio is good. Let's just make sure the audio is good. And then we can go ahead and get started. All right. Let's just. All right, the audio is crystal clear, so that's good. That's good to know. All right, so let's get into this. Today, the topic, as you're coming in, either you're coming in at any point in time, just do me a favor. As you're watching this video, just make sure you submit your like, okay? Make sure you grab the link to this video and make sure you're sharing it with the rest of the world. Also, make sure that if you come back here, make sure that your bells are on because the algorithm is clearly acting up. But that's okay. I will deliver the content. And then when you come back here and you catch it later on, that's fine. We will keep working. But do me a favor, go back to the subscribe button and make sure that the bells are on so that you get notifications when we do go live, okay? So thank you so much for that. The topic we're covering today is the idiot downstairs won't listen, okay? The idiot downstairs won't listen. Do you want to give it a shot? Give it a guess? What am I talking about exactly? Again, today I'm talking about Kiriwa within the context of marriage, okay? We're talking about sex within the context of marriage. And I know this is this is supposed to be a hot topic, but again, like I said, this is a masterclass. And I have something I wanted to share with you, okay? I want to share with the ladies. I want to share with the gentlemen, okay? This is an important part about the whole thing we call marriage for most people, okay? For the exceptions to the rule, maybe there's medical reasons or anything like that, make sure you seek professional help, okay? A couple of things we're going to touch on today, things like, hey, sex toys is not going to fix your issues. That's an enhancement. If you have issues already, it's not going to fix your issues, just so you know, okay? There are many other things that people may tend to prescribe when you find yourself in a situation that you feel like intimacy is lacking, right? And anything superficial won't work, okay? Majority of the work is going to be mental, okay? When it comes to marriage, okay? Now, for some men, it could be purely physical. They could go out there and pay for it and they knock one off and they're good to go. I'm not talking about you, okay? We're not talking to you today. Don't worry about it. Just leave this video because this has nothing to do with you, okay? But if you're in a marriage and you really, you like the ideal, right, of a romantic exercise on a consistent basis that both of you enjoy, right, then this conversation is for you, okay? Just in case you're wondering, the idiot downstairs is basically the second head of the man. Men, when it comes to this topic, they have two heads. We have this one and then we have the other head, right? The other head have a terrible habit of not wanting to listen sometimes. And ladies, you can relate to what I am talking about. Sometimes, we conflict, the 5 love languages, right? We mix them up together, right? Some people think word of affirmation is the same thing as gift giving. Well, those ones are clearly different, right? But there are some that seem to be, especially to us men, it's like physical touch, quality time. Isn't that the same thing, right? We start to wonder, isn't that the same thing? Anyway, so that's what we're talking about today. Without any further ado, let's make sure we do things the right way. Let's just go ahead and get started, shall we? All right. Welcome back. So, what are we talking about today? We're talking about intimacy in a marriage, okay? Or if I want to be nice, I'll say in a long term relationship, okay? But generally speaking, it should be in a marriage. You know that, I know that. There's no need to go back and forth about that. Why? Because there's a certain level of passion that comes with this when you're doing it on a regular with the same person that you want to contain within proper structure, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Okay? And if you don't, it can create catastrophe later. Heck, even when people are married, it can still create catastrophe, right? So how much more when you're not married, when you're just anyone can leave at any point in time. And let's not cap. It's a lot more easier to leave a relationship than it is to leave when, yes, I'm sorry, when you sign papers with the state. Okay? Some people hate that idea, but again, the people that have been doing this romantic thing in the most successful way, in a way that they can contain the family structure, have done exactly that since you were before you were born, right? So there's no amount of intelligence, good talking point that you're going to bring to the table that's going to make marriage suddenly less of a thing. Okay, so that's one thing right there. Now let's talk about sex. Okay, let's talk about sex. In a marriage, right? There are four things that I keep telling you that you will need to focus on. Everything else is a function of all these things. Now, some of these things are symptoms by themselves, but you have to find your way to them. If you can figure out how to get your way to the first two of these things, which is friendship and sex, if you can figure out how to get to friendship and sex, that means you figure a lot out on a consistent basis, right? What is a consistent basis? 2 to 4 times a week. Okay. Some people may say, once a week is fine. Then when you start say once every two is now we're going to the extreme. But to each his own. I'm just saying most people will probably agree that they at least need once a week, both men and women. Okay, because it's almost like, what's the point? Pointless. What's the point? Children, family. It's not about sex. Well, you're speaking for yourself. If that's how you feel, you're right. Okay, there's nothing wrong with what you said. What I am speaking to is most people. All right, they kind of expect to do the kerewa once, at least once every week. Okay, ideally 3 times a week. Okay, so anyway, the thumbnail brought you in, I'm sure. The thumbnail has what's her name, Thames. Nothing special. I just thought I was a sexy picture. Okay, but then also she just bagged some Grammy nominations, so congratulations to her. But I thought this was so. But again, we're talking about if you look at the text on the screen, say just cuddle. So that's actually the main topic. A lot of men don't really understand what you mean, ladies, when you say just cuddle. It's like question mark. It's like there should be a question mark right after that. What do you mean just cuddle, right? Cuddling is a thing for the ladies. I've found from all the conversations we've been having, right? And a lot of times when we use a cuddle to men, we're thinking of one thing. Again, like I said earlier, the idiot downstairs won't listen because when you say cuddle, the idiot downstairs gets excited, right? And it can't wait, okay? So even if as a man, you coming from a place of understanding, right? What is a place of understanding? We should unpack that. What is a place for understanding? Gentlemen, here's a place of understanding for you. First of all, the first awareness that you need to have is that a man is different from a woman. There's no need to argue that. Please stop arguing with that. Oh yeah, what a man can do, a woman can stop the cap. Okay, when it comes to romantic relationships, a man is always going to be different from a woman. That's the reality. Okay? So let me see something really quickly. Let me just take a look at something. Let's take a look at something real quickly. Okay. All right, we're good. All right. So once you have that awareness, then what do? You listen. Not listening to be a doormat. That's not what I'm asking you to do. You're listening so you can gain ammunitions to create the result you're looking for. What is the result you're looking for? you're probably looking for much more than cuddle, even though she says cuddling and no more. But the way the man's mind is set up is like, wait, no more than cuddle. It's like, no, cuddle means exactly that, right? But the woman is like, no, you're just gonna lay down in this bed and watch TV with me, watch my favorite shows, and let's just, and no, nothing should be poking me behind me, right? That's how a lot of women think. Not all women, but that's how a lot of women think. It's not, again, it's not one of those deliberate things. It's just, they're really just looking for quality time. But the man is like, oh, we should let's go upstairs. Go upstairs to do what? To do only one thing, right? So this creates a lot of discrepancies. This is a big problem. Creates a lot of discrepancies for couple, and before you know it, people will start accusing each other of weaponizing sex against each other, right? Because what happens? He gets in bed. It's like he's trying to already poke, and you're like, no. And then you're like, why are you doing that? And it's like, what happened? And then the awkwardness starts to creep in. And before you know it, nothing is happening because people are now mad at each other. One guy is thinking like, damn, like, why? Why are you going to do me like that? Ladies, it is punishment. It's like, if you want to punish a man, just keep doing that. Okay? It's not nice. It doesn't, I know you don't mean to do that, but it doesn't come off as nice. Okay? There's no need to set him up like that. Okay, there's absolutely no need to set him up like that. Okay, so anyway, the main problem here is the fact that a man and a woman, when they think about sex, they think about it completely differently. Typically, okay, typically, somebody says, "Oh yeah, but as a woman, I like it all the time." Well, you're not a typical woman. Most women like it all the time, but they're not outspoken about it. There's a process that you have to kind of get through before you get to that point where they can identify with you that they like sex as well, right? That process is something that as men have to be intentional about. Men have to be aware, more so awareness, okay? The intention thing is, I'm still questioning it, right? Because you're a man, you think like a man, and that's just that, okay? So the idea of asking you to leave your brain as a man and start to think like a woman, it's a little conflicting too. That even creates more resentment sometimes. Like, why can't she just be an adult, right? An adult will get into a marriage and just deliver on the duty and responsibility 100% of the time. And you and I know that that's unrealistic expectations. Okay? So that's the problem right there. That's a major problem. There's a miscommunication, a disconnect between how a man thinks and how a typical man and a typical woman thinks, right? But with a little bit of awareness that I want to share with you right now, things can easily, it's a good first stepping stone, things can become a little bit easier. Okay? Things can become a little bit easier just by being aware. I always say awareness is half the battle won. Does that make sense? All right, good. So, like I said, we're talking about sex. What's the problem when it comes down to it, right? There's a miscommunication. Even in the man himself, between this top head and the lower head, there's a miscommunication. The lower head, if he's a healthy man, has his own brain completely. I know, I'm saying that from an hyperbolic standpoint, okay? He has his own brain. And what is the solution here? What is the solution here? For both the man and the woman, awareness. Awareness about what? That we're both different. In fact, that is what creates the polarity that we enjoy once we get in the groove of things. The fact that we are different and we're supposed to complement each other. Okay? The fact that we are different and we're designed to complement each other, and that creates the harmony, that creates the polarity that we enjoy, not just from an emotional standpoint, from a physical standpoint, and obviously in a sexual way as well. Okay? Now, why am I qualified to share this kind of information with you? Obviously, I've been married for a while and we had our own ups and downs. And if you're looking for my full story, you can easily go download the book, My Wife and Myself Story, at loveandprestige.com. Okay? You'll get access to the full book. It's 175 pages that will basically take you through this process. Okay? We all fall out of the skies but not with a lot of this knowledge, right? A lot of our parents, they teach us from their perspective, right? Their perspective is not necessarily good for the time and age that you are in, right? It's not their fault. They're also coming from a place, right? So if you understand that, then you what do? You engage. There's something to learn, especially if you're starting to notice that sometimes 2 weeks will go by, nobody is going through anything, nothing medical going on. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, right? And people are just they're not doing it, right? Once in a while they stumble into it, they do it, gra gra, and then they go back to it. Everyone is different. But if at least one person, here's a problem. If at least one person is feeling like they're lacking in that area, there's a problem. Effectively, there's a problem. We don't need both people to feel like there's a problem. Only one person needs to feel like there's a problem. If um if two people are having sex every 3 months and they feel like that's perfectly fine, there's no need to fix anything. It's perfectly fine, right? But if at least one person, okay, if at least one person feels, even if they're not saying it, because sometimes it's a difficult, sometimes for the most part, it's a difficult conversation to have, right? If they feel like there's a problem, if at least one person feel like there's a problem, effectively there is a problem. And one of the major issues with this is that sometimes that one person, they are just in the blind spot. They're completely blindfolded. They don't see what's going on with the other person. The other person is not communicating, or they've tried to communicate, but they don't feel safe to communicate because the lashback the last time wasn't pleasant, right? Why? Because people don't enjoy, human beings, generalized statement here, don't enjoy a normal person does not enjoy rejection. Okay, so the rejection, if they receive it a couple of times, they just kind of shy away from it, right? And you may say, but as adults we should be able to have conversation. Well, you're right, should, fantasy, right? They should be able to, but sometimes, people's insecurity, fear will take over and basically will dictate the direction of issues. All right. So keep in mind. So again, I'm saying this because I have experience. Okay, you can go ahead and read my experience in the book. Now, the solution here is, like I said, awareness. Okay, that's half the battle won. Understand that we're not the same. Okay, she might say want to cuddle. Understand that when a woman says want to cuddle, she truly mean exactly that. Just time together. Now, here's the part that most men miss, and I want to share that with you, gentlemen. Okay, there's rewards. Okay, don't tell her that I told you. There's rewards at the end. This happy ending. You don't need to share that with her. You don't need to say, hey, is there going to be happy ending? Because that would basically say you lack game, right? All you need to do is focus on giving. She wants quality time, give her quality time. If the idiot downstairs mistakenly poke her, you don't need to apologize for that. She knows you're a man. She doesn't mind that you are attracted to her in that way. But also be understanding there's a process that's going on. Don't be attached to the outcome, right? Because she might mean 100% just cuddle for that day. But I'm telling you, if you get this right, for the most time, she doesn't know what she's talking about. It's going down after the fact. All you have to do is stay focused on giving, right? Stay focused on giving and you will receive. There's a process, there's seasons, and then you will harvest. Okay? Not only will you harvest, she'll be happy that you harvest. Why? Because you were patient enough to wait through the process. Now, what is the flip side of what I just explained? The flip side is that, why is she trying to punish me? Like, you want me to spend time together? We're husband and wife. Why can't we just do it? You're also right, but you will not be getting some. Okay? because you're clearly discounting how the brain works from an emotional standpoint in romantic relationships. You're saying, oh, she's an adult. She should just act duty, responsibility. Well, I'm sorry. That falls on his face all the time. That's why we keep crying and bitching about it. I'm sorry. It's not the reality. But if you understand that, hey, this is a process, she's a woman, a typical woman. She wants cuddle, she wants quality time. Give her that. She just wants you to put a little extra effort. If you're doing it, bad habit, and you have the phone on the side, the fact that you put extra effort is usually more than enough for her. She'll like, babe, get off the phone. Like, babe, I'm just checking something really quick. She's okay. It's not that deep, right? But if you overreact to that, well, you get what you get. It's usually will be unfair. It will feel like it's unfair. Why? Because she kind of lured you. You know, people walk around naked in the house and they kind of expect you not to touch them. It happens. Okay? It happens. Sometimes you just have to be self-aware and just say, that's beautiful, and walk the other way. Let them wonder what the hell is going on in your mind a little bit, as opposed to be predictable all the time. Don't be so predictable. Switch it up. If you've always been the dominant one, be a little bit aggressive now in a healthy way, right? If you've always been the aggressive one, calm down, small now, right? Calm down. Calm it down a little bit. All right. So what's the benefit of what I'm sharing with you? The benefit is that if you understand the ideals of process and seasons, you will reap. Okay. You will allow the thing to cook well. Women need to cook well. Do you understand what I'm saying? Typically they need to cook well before you start poking things up. If a woman feels heard and feels seen, you can penetrate literally everything, emotionally, physically, spiritually. You can penetrate everything. If she doesn't feel heard, everything closes up. Literally. Close down, shut down. And if you don't understand that, suffer. You will suffer. Okay? You can look around the world. Look at the principles of how the world operates. Right? And you can see that this principle is applicable everywhere. In terms of farming, the same thing. In terms of entrepreneurship, the same thing. It's understanding that there is a process. It's understanding that Mother Earth is feminine. It receives, it multiplies, it reciprocates. But there are seasons. If you respect that, you will benefit big time. If you argue with it, you go suffer big time. Okay? Very, very simple. All right. So you can see, you can just look around, you can see it. Okay. So here's what I'm giving you right now. Hey, Lady Nova, thank you, I appreciate you. Thank you always for coming here to support. I appreciate you. So here's what I'm going to tell you right now. This is easier said than done. This is easier said than done. Why? Because you get caught up in your emotions too. If you're a woman and you're struggling with the idea that he doesn't understand cuddle, like cuddle means cuddle. He doesn't understand that I need to process things. He doesn't understand that I don't feel heard. He doesn't understand that I'm not turned on because he's always yelling at me. Okay? If you're dealing with that, like I said, everything I just said is true. It's a principle that works across board. But it's easier said than done. Why? Because you are a human being like the rest of us. Does that make sense? You're caught up in your feelings. You get caught up in your feelings too, and you're trying to protect yourself from an emotional standpoint. You're trying to feed yourself, right? When you feel rejection, what happens? Let's go back to the 6 basic human emotional needs, right? What happens? Oh, I didn't realize that I'm still not showing my face, actually. All right, let's go back to here. Right? What happens? Right? Certainty, right? You start to doubt, like, this person like you. If you start to doubt, even as a man, that does this person like you? It messes the flow of things up, right? Variety, right? If you're predictable, it's boring, right? If you're getting rejection, you don't feel significant. That's going to tamper with your emotions as a human being, man or woman, right? Connection, if you feel like you're not feeling heard, right? If you feel like somebody is not speaking your language, they don't understand you, they don't get you, then you will experience what we call the lack of connection, and then everything dries up, everything closes up, right? Same thing, if you feel like there's no growth, you don't feel safe, there's no growth in your lifestyle or anything like that, that can, depending on what kind of person you're, that can also tamper with how you feel, right? If you don't feel like you're contributing to the situation, you feel like you're being shut out all the time, that can also mess. As a man, if you don't feel respected, you don't feel like you have a say in your household, that can mess things up as well too. So there's definitely a good reason for me to share with you right now that this is easier said than done. Okay, so what I would definitely continue to suggest is, we have stories in the book. Go grab the book. Just go to loveandprestige.com. Okay, loveandprestige.com is free. Grab the book. There's also opportunities for audiobook. You can listen to it on the go if you don't have time, and you can also get the book. Very soon I'm going to be putting up the hardcover if you prefer hardcovers, right? But it's really, really a good book, and I suggest that you read it 10 to 15 times. Why? Because every time you read it, you pick up something new. All the nuances that you don't get anywhere else, you're going to get in that book. Okay, so that's my offer for you. It's free, just take advantage of it. And then if you feel like you need personal coaching or something like that, you know what, message me on Instagram. Is at, just go into the about page, right? Message me and I'll give you a 15-minute coaching session. Okay, so we can help you identify what's going on, and then we'll take it from there. Okay, you can also go straight to loveandprestige.com. At the top of the page, you will see a link that takes you to the coaching. Okay, now here's the thing. Every time, if you're in a marriage, particularly, especially, right, time is a real thing. Okay, we just had that conversation earlier today. Time is a real thing. Time is real. It's literally life. As far as the way I see it as life. Because everyone's time is limited here. There's no time to waste. That doesn't mean you should hasten things. In fact, I said it factually, right? In fact, that's the main reason why you want to respect time. Because you have to respect time in terms of patience, process, seasons, right? But also in terms of not wasting time, because if you don't understand seasons and the patience and process, that means you're going to eventually waste more time than the actual length of time patience and process would have taken you. So it still goes back to respecting time. Why am I sharing that with you right now? If you're suffering in a marriage where there's no intimacy, don't waste time. It's not going to fix itself. This is the part where I say, hey, be intentional. See, I pull it out when it's convenient, right? Be intentional. There's something going on. Engage it. How do you engage? You engage self first. Okay? Engage self. There's something you need to learn, because you have the power of influence in that relationship. And somehow it's no longer working the way it used to work. If it ever worked before, it can work again. But maybe you need to learn something new. If you're confused, there's a good chance you need to learn something new. All right. So, and here's a quick warning to you. If you don't engage this, equilibrium must set. Correction will set. Life will balance itself. It's just that it may balance into the direction that you don't desire. So engage it, and be intentional about it. There's nothing on the streets for anybody. Okay. Nothing. Okay, so if you have something good and it's just a little bit of work that you need to do when it comes to intimacy, work on it. Do some work on it. Engage. You can't complain that it's not going to work until you've actually engaged work. Read the book 10 to 15 times, engage coaching, and then you will see a difference, because you do have more. If you're complaining, you have power. If you're able to complain, you do have power. Okay? Oh no, they just don't listen. They're like, nonsense. Okay, nonsense. You have power, you just don't know how to use it. Very simple. All right. So yes, that's what I wanted to share with you today. It's true, the idiots downstairs sometimes don't listen. But that's not the issue. The issue is understanding. The issue is aligning together when it comes to emotions, right? Aligning together when it comes to this romantic thing. It can be complicated. It's easier said than done. But it comes down to a few things, okay? Bottom line is that if she doesn't feel heard, you can't penetrate anything. Everything closes up. If he doesn't feel respected, he will find someone that will respect him. He will be looking for it even if he can't find it. Okay? And could he be wrong in that process? Yes. But people do wrong things when it feels right. That's why I'm asking you to be intentional when it comes to emotional intelligence. Most people are intentional when it comes to pragmatic intellectual intelligence. But when it comes to emotions, most people are paralyzed because they go to say, no, people should be responsible. I'm telling you, people are irresponsible, period. When they don't feel right, okay? They become irresponsible. Is it their fault? You're right, it's their fault. That has nothing to do with the results you're creating. If you want to create better results, you need to engage the conversation at a higher level, and then you will have better results. All right? Hopefully you've been enlightened today. If you're just coming in, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to rewind and watch it from the beginning. This was a fantastic masterclass, and you definitely don't want to miss it. Especially if you want to learn more about intimacy and sex within the context of long-term relationships and marriage. Hopefully you've been enlightened and educated. I'll see you on the next one, and peace.